Hey, Crypto Growth Fam, how's it going? This is your host Shazib signing in. We're back with another video, folks. XLM, everything under one umbrella. It's going to be an interesting one, guys, so make sure to watch till the end. And, folks, for those of you who are new to the channel, we primarily discuss utility coins and potential gems. If you're interested in any of that stuff, then subscribe the channel and hit the notification icon for regular videos. Anyways, folks, let me share with you this podcast, this insight over here: decentralizing humanitarian aid, crypto powered global impact with Stellar and Koala Pay. Look at this for episode 4, Crypto Altruists. We're honored to welcome Anna Whitson Diaz from the Stellar Development Foundation, Courtney Russo from Koala Pay, and Christine To from Glow Dollar. So they unpack how blockchain is creating new opportunities for the humanitarian sector. Folks, this is a long one. This is 49 minutes long. I heard the thing, and I'm going to be sharing with you the first 10 to 15 minutes, because that was really interesting insights. You can check this out, the whole thing yourselves, but I tried to bring this for you. Check this out, the first 15-16 minutes. Really wonderful insights, and as to how Stellar is changing the game and bringing everything under one roof, under one umbrella.
Today you will discover how blockchain is revolutionizing humanitarian aid, making it faster, cheaper, and more transparent to get critical funds directly into the hands of those who need it most. How leaders from Stellar, KoalaPay, and Glow are building real-world Web3 infrastructure that meets people where they are, from proactive aid tools to stablecoins to programmable last-mile payments, and why crypto's next frontier isn't just financial innovation, it's building sustainable systems for global good, powered by mechanisms like Glow Dollar. Welcome to Crypto Altruists, where we explore the intersections of Web3 and social good through the stories of impact-driven builders and offer actionable insights to empower your journey into the world of blockchain for good. I'm your host, Drew Simon. Now, before we dive in, please remember that this is not financial or legal advice, and always do your own research on any of the projects or investment opportunities that we discuss. Welcome back to AutoPGF, our special series exploring how Glow Dollar is funding public goods automatically just by being held. It's donationless, decentralized philanthropy, and it's already changing lives. A huge thank you to Glow for their support in bringing this series to life. In today's episode, we're joined by 3 incredible guests: Anna Whitson Diaz from the Stellar Development Foundation, Courtney Russo from KoalaPay, and Christina To from Glow Dollar. Together, we unpack how blockchain is creating new opportunities for the humanitarian sector, helping aid organizations move faster, reach farther, and build resilient systems that can scale. You'll hear how Anna and Courtney's years of frontline humanitarian experience shaped their vision for building with Web3, and how Christine sees Glow Dollar's AutoPGF model bringing long-term sustainability to this critical work. From scalable bulk payments and anticipatory action to frictionless onboarding through everyday tools like WhatsApp, this is a masterclass in using Web3 to build a more equitable world. So let's dive in. So excited today to have some incredible folks on the podcast for episode 4 of AutoPGF, Funding Impact with Glow Dollar. So we have Anna from Stellar, Courtney from KoalaPay, and Christine from Glow Dollar. Really talented group of folks here with some great experience. So I'm so excited to dive into this conversation. So thank you so much to all of you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. It's going to be a really interesting conversation. We're going to dive into a lot in this short 45 or so minute conversation around the great work being done in the Stellar and KoalaPay ecosystem, and how Glow Dollar is partnering and really supporting that work, and what the future of that partnership could look like. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation. And, before we get there, though, I'd love to kind of have a bit of intro to all 3 of you. You have such great, interesting experience, and so I'd love to kind of hear about your journey to where you are today. And so maybe we can start. I know that Anna and Courtney, when we were chatting before, you had mentioned that you both have pretty extensive experience in the humanitarian sector prior to working in Web3. And then I'm going to get to you, Christine, because I have a question for you as well. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on like how you made this personal journey from the humanitarian sector to Web3, and how that experience working in the humanitarian sector really kind of set you up and informs the work that you're doing today. So whoever would like to go on first, feel free to jump in.
Sure. Cool. Okay. All right. So I think I have maybe an interesting career path vis-a-vis a lot of other people that work in the Web3 space. So I spent, Courtney as well, I think, but I spent the bulk of my career, so 10 or 11 years, working at the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, which is the largest UN agency working on kind of development worldwide, very close partner with emerging economy governments, with governments really all around the world, and doing some more kind of traditional development finance freelance work. So, I mean, I was in that space for, like I said, 10, 11 years. And I think, it's super important work. We're working a lot with ministries of finance, working on helping them fill their data gaps, working on helping developing country governments work a lot closer and better with their donors and with all types of partners, right? So making those relationships more efficient. But really what I saw, I think, after working in that space on what they call, the effectiveness of development cooperation for so long, was that we're having the same conversations over and over and over, and donors are asking for the same things over and over and over, right? So they really want, the resources that they're giving to developing countries, to their partners in emerging economies, to be really transparent, to be really traceable, to be really efficient, to be cost efficient, effective, all of these things, right? And this has been the story, my whole time in the UN, working for UNDP, is really like we see these things, these conversations happening over and over. And they're trying to kind of do it the old way, right? Like they're trying to get people to publish data on what they're doing in a very manual process. There's a lot of, government, intergovernmental meetings on all of this, but really, honestly, nothing really moved forward that much in 10 years. And it gets a little bit frustrating, right? When you're seeing like, the ethos of this, really, like that we want aid, we want aid, development resources, humanitarian resources. We want bang for the buck. We want them to go far. We want them to reach the most people. We want them to do the most good. And we're having these conversations over and over and over, and really, nothing's moving. So I think I saw blockchain as kind of the next evolution of those conversations, those questions. So everything that both governments from the donor side and from the receiving side want with development resources, with humanitarian resources, blockchain can do it so much more efficiently, right? And I know we're going to talk about that more today, but in reality, this can do what we've been trying to do for 10 years in this space so much more efficiently, so much easier, with less of a manual process and all of these things. And so I think that really got me interested in jumping into Web3 and being like, how can we put this technology on top of what we've already been doing in the development and humanitarian space, and just make every dollar go further, make every resource that we have go further. And so I think that was really kind of the evolution of me jumping into Web3, and super exciting to be here and kind of like bring everything that I was doing in that UN space and kind of act as the bridge sometimes between a very Web3, foundation at Stellar, and some of these organizations that are wanting to work in the development humanitarian space with blockchain technology. So yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. Great experience to have. And I totally agree. Like a lot of these problems we're looking to solve, like they're not new, right? It's just looking at it from kind of a different lens. And, coming from a sector that, having previously myself worked in the humanitarian nonprofit sector, can be a bit slow moving sometimes, and rightfully so, right? You have limited funds. You want to make sure that you steward them properly and that you're creating the most impact. So sometimes, being a little risk averse to a space like Web3 that's moving so fast. So it's really, really quite the interesting kind of shift there. And, Courtney, I'm sure you resonated a lot with what Anna was saying there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Similar again to Anna, I did start my career like kind of deep in the humanitarian space. I was working primarily for nonprofits for the first 5 years in a variety of contexts, but mostly, I guess, what we would call non-permissive environments, places with lots of conflict, high levels of displacement. I also worked in Ebola as a public health specialist, and, seeing a lot of that, like very on the ground issues evolving. I transitioned halfway through my career to working for governments, where again, you have that different set of issues. You're more on the side of saying like, here's what we want out of aid delivery and trying to make it better, but continuing to face the same roadblocks, because that whole delivery chain, especially when you come down to things like cash and voucher assistance, paying local partners, paying frontline workers, is just so inhibited. And I'm very lucky that the founder of KoalaPay is a close personal friend of mine. And, this idea was fantastic. Malin came to me and said, would you be interested in working for us? And of course I said, this is a great time for me to think about pivoting my career into something that's going to do something very specific, that is an issue that's very close to my heart, and, be able to keep my feet in the humanitarian space while doing something that felt a little bit more meaningful at this time. And I'm a former USAID employee as well. So watching everything occur over the last couple of months, this kind of reiterated that this was the space for me, seeing how we're going to need to stretch those fewer dollars even farther, and why blockchain makes so much sense. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Looking to get those dollars further through, these efficiencies, and also like through new revenue models, where you come in too, Christine,
Exactly.
with Glow Dollar, and and you have experience as well, I know, in Stellar. So having previously worked there before coming to Glow, and so as someone who's deeply involved now in kind of like stablecoins design specifically to address a lot of these challenges related to funding and supporting public goods. What inspired you to kind of align your work with the space, and why does this intersection of like Web3 and public goods and social impact kind of really resonate with you?
That's a great question, Drew. So a lot of the work that I've done up to date, it has been predominantly for a lot of for-profits, right, and a lot of institutions. And I think the work that I did at AirFox and also SDF, it resonated with me because, number one, a lot of the work that we did there, it was for people to get access, right? Primarily access to payment, primarily access to money, primarily access to things that most people didn't have in other parts of the world. So when I thought about this and when I actually saw a lot of the work that we started doing and the products that we rolled out into the market, I realized that, one, I'm very privileged to given that I was just born in the US. Number two is that I think it resonates with me because I am from a family of refugees, right? My parents escaped war. They came here as refugees. So I understand the issues that a lot of I don't want to ever say like I could ever put myself in those shoes because I can't simply, but I think firsthand as a child from, parents that immigrated here, I saw what the effects were, right? I saw what it felt like to be boxed out. I knew what it was like to not have access to these same services. So by the time I got to Stellar and the work that Jed was doing, it really inspired me because this is a person that didn't need to be here working on these things. But I think as a human being, he deeply cared that like, hey, everyone should have access and it should be cheap. It should be free. And that's what's brought me to Glow Dollar.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Such great experience here. This is going to be a really interesting conversation. So thanks to all of you for sharing a little bit about your journey and how you got here. Now let's dive into kind of like where you are now and the work that you're doing today. And so, let's do a bit of kind of an intro to the amazing projects that are represented here today. And maybe we can start with you, Anna, regarding the Stellar Development Foundation. So, obviously a big focus. I've been a huge fan of Stellar from the beginning. I feel like you've always been focused on financial inclusion before it was cool. You always kind of one of the OG blockchains really focused on, access and, so much great work with like organizations like the UNHCR on some amazing humanitarian work. So absolutely love Stellar Development Foundation. And so, talk to me about like, obviously that's, their focus on equitable access in the global financial system. For those unfamiliar though, could you please give like a brief intro to Stellar, kind of what the foundation's core mission is and why you see blockchain as essential for achieving financial inclusion?
Yeah. So for anyone who's not familiar with Stellar, the blockchain or the Stellar Development Foundation, kind of like everything is one, right? So, you have some of these other foundations where they have the blockchain part that maybe has a for-profit mission, and then you have the foundation that kind of does its altruistic work, right? So with Stellar, everything's kind of under one umbrella. So everyone in Stellar works for the Stellar Development Foundation. And as you said, we have a mission that's very much focused on financial inclusion. So the Stellar and the Stellar Development Foundation have been around for 10 years. We are a nonprofit organization. So again, don't have like a profit motive very much, unlike some other blockchains. But what that means for us is that we're very, very focused on using blockchain technology to extend the impact and the ability of people to use blockchain in really the real world, right? In the financial services space. Because I think as Christine said, as Courtney also alluded to, I think there's a large part of the world that doesn't have access to financial services in the way that we do living in, New York or San Francisco or London or many other parts of the world, right? And so blockchain really opens the door not only to, lower cross-border transfers, financial transactions, but, financial services and products that people don't have access to, like, savings, like yield earning products, which I know we're going to probably talk about and touch on a little bit more. The ability to kind of to borrow. So all savings and lendings products, right? So I think we're very privileged to sit where we sit. For us, it's often very easy to just, tap on the door of banks saying, hey, I need a small loan, or hey, I want to start a business, or hey, I want to buy a house, or hey, I just want to open a savings account. And in reality, don't quote me on this, but I think there's something like 1.5 billion people in the world that are unbanked, and no stats on the amount of people that are underbanked, right, in the world. And so blockchain just really opens the doors to allowing people to have a lot more dignity and access over their financial lives, right? And a lot of the work we do at the Stellar Development Foundation, as you said, red thread is really the red thread is really financial inclusion, right? So all of the ecosystem partners come to us, I think, because they see Stellar as the place that is very mission driven and really cares about this financial inclusion mission. And the technology is really set up in a way that enables that, right? So we have basically no, like, I think our lawyers will never let us say no transaction costs, but you can send like 10,000 transactions on Stellar for 1 cent. So what that does is that enables all of that work, right? That financial inclusion work, when you have basically no financial transaction fees, when you can send money cross borders for a fraction of a cent. And I think another thing that Stellar really cares about is the context, right, of different countries. So we know that not every country is exactly the same. Not every country needs the same things. Not all financial technology is going to work the same in all countries. And so what we also really care about is being very context specific. And really building our ecosystem to serve all parts of the world, right? So what that means is like having off ramps, so having crypto to fiat off ramps for the local context, whether that's mobile money in East Africa, whether that's bank accounts in Ukraine, whether that's there's a myriad of options, prepaid cards, physical locations where you can cash out. So we realize that in a lot of this humanitarian and development work, it is really important for people to be able to convert that crypto back into fiat. We're not at a point yet where it's super useful for someone to just be sitting with digital currency in their wallet. And so Stellar's also been really, really committed to growing our ecosystem, whether that's from digital wallets, ramps, partners like Koala Pay, like Glow Dollar, that are super important parts of this equation to making sure that we can get these financial services into the hands of people that don't have access to them, and then also making it work for where they live, right? For the realities of where everyone lives. So I think that's a big part of this. And I'm sure we can talk about later about how that actually translates into some of our work with like UNHCR and, some of the work we're doing with both Glow and Koala Pay in kind of hard to reach geographies as well.
Folks, wonderful insights from the Stellar team and a wonderful interview over here. Indeed, Stellar is trying to change the game. It wants to provide something new in the world of finance and provide use cases never before seen in the world of in the world economy, folks. And as we saw in the end, that UNHCR and a lot of these institutions, how are they involved as well? Look at this. This is Bail. The Federal Reserve reveals XRP and XLM as key players in powering the blockchain behind their FedNow payment system. Awesome. Look at this, some technicals from CW, XLM, bull flag pattern breakout will be confirmed soon. According to the pattern, this rise will proceed at least over $1.45, folks. This is the channel, and according to this one, if it breaks out, we're looking at above $1 levels for XLM. Crypto Chrome over here says that quantum could change Bitcoin forever. BlackRock acknowledged quantum tax risks to crypto. XRP and XLM are preparing for a future where flexibility equals security. The chains built for change may be the ones that last. Awesome. Solving this problems in the world of finance. This is Copuli over here, Stellar Wallet. What if you invested $1,000 in XLM today and forgot until 2030? So these are some predictions. Obviously, not all of these projections might come true. It can go down. It can go up or down depending on the market and the developments. $2.50. Look at this, $8,879. If it goes to $10, then we are looking at $35,517. Start stacking XLM today for long-term potential. Awesome. Everyone laughs at XLM to $10, but they're not watching the rails being laid. USDC flows, institutional deals, quiet adoption across borders. Look at this. What if Stellar already has the infrastructure and partnerships in place to push XLM to $10 and the market just hasn't been allowed to realize it yet. Yeah, obviously it as far as the infrastructure is concerned and as far as what it is doing, it already is there in terms of the vision. Will it reach there in terms of value? Many are saying that it will far exceed that $10 level as well in the future. Advancing security. Freighter Advanced Authentication. Security is a top priority for Stellar. The Freighter wallet will incorporate advanced authentication features, leveraging Soroban's smart wallet capabilities. So we can see that the entire ecosystem of Stellar, be it the wallet or other use cases, are growing, like Soroban, smart wallet capabilities, and others. This is Goku over here. As someone in the Stellar community, I feel for XRP holders on this one. Circle denying the Ripple acquisition talks is a reminder that crypto Twitter moves faster than facts. Folks, what I like about XLM is that they've avoided controversies. They have been building behind the scenes silently, like a silent assassin that we discussed in the last video as well. So this is how Stellar wants to bring everything under one roof, under one umbrella in the world of finance. It wants to work on tokenization. It wants to work on payments. Wants to work for the underserved, the unbanked, empowering the individuals, and forging new opportunities for the humanitarian sector as a whole. So folks, what do you guys think about the video? I would really like your opinions. Do hit the comment box below and let the community know. Anyways, guys, this was it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon if you're interested in utility coins and potential gems. And you can also support the channel by checking out Decent and its wallets, as well as Patreon by following the links in the description box below. Until next time, stay blessed and stay tuned. Thank you very much, everyone.